Cyber Shades, Bridging Fears, Survival Souls. Let's go. So family, good morning, good morning, good morning. I was recently asked, what do I do to decompress? You know, what methodology do I take on to be able to, you know, when the pangs of the world start to get too much, when the noise in my head becomes a lot from all the outside activities taking place in this world, you know. And when I say the world, I'm talking the world, but also family, friends, job, this, that, the third, kids, you know, I don't know, anybody. You know, what do I do? And I said, you know, that's a rather difficult question for me because the truth of the matter is that I'm presently in a season of trying to accomplish something. I'm trying to reach a goal, you know, and that is starting of a businesses, so to speak, because it's all rolled up. It's a group of businesses rolled up into one. And I said, you know, it's a little difficult for me to answer because the truth of the matter is that my vocation right now is my vacation. My vocation is my vacation. So it's a little difficult for me to say, how do I decompress? The individual, let me bring this back. The individual, you know, told me that they, not to reveal their business, but they take alternative measures, you know. Let's just say it's of the recreational kind. Right? And they said once they started to go in that direction and learning the word no. I'm looking at the light, guys, so if I seem a little distracted, I'm right here with you, and I hope you're right here with me. I'm just making sure that I catch this light, you know, because I'm kind of sort of underneath it. Their attitude became, you know what, F this. F that, you know, I'm just going to move in a way and in accordance. What is this guy doing? In a way and in accordance that benefits me. Not to say that their actions are being selfish, but more in accord with self-care for themselves. That they need that self-care for themselves, you know, to be able to be like, you know, oh, this is happening, well, deal with it. Oh, that's happening, you know, deal with it. A rather unique perspective, but not uncommon at the same time. It's kind of like an oxymoron of eyes wide shut, you know. So it was interesting, you know, that question. Because it was like, you know, I really don't have the end-all be-all answer to it. You know, there are so many areas that I'm moving in, and when I say I'm moving, I'm literally moving. I mean, here it was last night, 9:30, 10 o'clock, practically, sort of, you know, getting close to that time, and I was. Well, not following up, but making myself present business-wise at that hour. Because of certain constraints and restraints, I can only move at, you know, certain hours. So, I don't know, family, you know, it got me thinking, you know, what do you do? What do you do? You know, and I get conceptually the benefit from it because, you know, you work, and, you know, I just found out this morning that a boss of mine had passed away this morning due to, I believe, her diabetes situation. You know, a very nice woman, you know, she's cool, she's a cool boss, and fairly young, I say in her late 50s, early 60s, so a fairly young woman. Now she had taken a leave of retirement in her early 50s. She's got tired of it, you know, but the point is, you can't take any of this with you. Excuse me. You know, once it's over, it's over. Unless, you know, we come back as someone else, or there's a recycling of life. You know, we don't know that part of life. You know, one of the great mysteries of life. We don't know what happens thereafter. Do we come back? Do we, you know, restart in unfinished, uncharted waters that we couldn't do in the life that we were in, or what have you? So, not to talk about it in quantum physics and all of that stuff, you know, just food for thought. But nonetheless, I get it, you know, you work, and then, you know, when it's over, it's over, you know, or you work so hard, that you drop dead, you know, or like, Reginald F. Lewis. I was talking about him recently. There was a book that he wrote, Not All White Boys Can Jump, or Why Do All the White Boys Try to Jump, or something on a basis of basketball and jumping and dunking. And he was a man, just to give you a little quick summary of him, he was a man that late 50s, early 60s, or what have you, Harvard was offering a scholarship for some writing contest. And he wrote, he went and he answered, he wrote. Very go-getter type of guy. And stated, I wasn't the smartest guy at all, you know. And he wrote, and he thought his work was really good, and they said it was good, but he didn't get accepted. Well, he fought the administration, and he got in. His grades were average, if I'm correct. If I'm correct in the book, it was somewhere around like B-C. But he went to Harvard. From there, he had gotten into business, you know. And I believe he bought a radio station for $1 million, and then the following year he sold it for $15 million. It caught the attention of Mike Milken. For those of you who love the history of finance, Mike Milken was and still is. I mean, I don't think it's as prevalent as it was back then, but he was considered and called the junk bond king. You had these things called junk bonds. I believe they still exist, but I don't know to what degree. You know, with so many new different products on the market, with the crypto and the meta and all these different things. So I don't know how serious, or maybe it's taken on its own life. But nonetheless, and he, you know, they became very good friends. And then he got with I can't remember the names that you've heard. You know, certain, like you hear Gucci and Fendi. It was one of those type of names, and he had become president of that company, and he did well with that. And a very proud man. He was a very proud black man. You know, had 2 daughters and let them learn classical piano, tennis. You know, his whole philosophy is, you know, you're not going to be stereotyped. You're gonna be worldly. That was his view and his thing, his shtick for his children. And eventually he had gotten with some consortium of food associations, and he became the CEO. And it was interesting because he became friends with a Jewish guy, and all the negotiations going on. He's never at any one of those functions. He wasn't, you know, he never saw his name, never saw anything. And in the end, when the deal was done, the deal was worth $400 million. Making him at that time the richest African American in the United States. At the time, it was the founder of Johnson & Johnson, Ebony Magazine, Jet Magazine, and kind of hated on Mr. Lewis. He hated on him. He's like, oh, who's this guy, you know, knocking me out my box? But here, in the end, they're signing, and here walks in Reginald F. Lewis. And they were like, oh, he's black. Oh, you know. And he stated, you know, in his autobiography, you know, I would never have gotten through if they knew I was a black guy. He said, that's just the truth. I just wouldn't have gotten through. You know, sure, they'll at that time, Those individuals would, shake your hands and powwow and have a cigar with you, but they would never let you into the boys club of high finance and high business. So here he signs this thing, and then a couple months later, he starts to get headaches. Migraine head that they just wouldn't stop. And he went to go get himself checked, and then he started becoming blind in one eye. And come to find out, he had a tumor in his brain. So here is a man that had worked so hard, reached finally the holy grail of high finance with a particular business that he was able to obtain, and he died within X months. So going back, and I know that was a bit long-winded, but just to give you a summary of how things work, here was a man who was really trying to do well, and he pushed. And I don't believe that there was ever a moment in that autobiography where he stopped. He worked non-stop, all hours, very little sleep. I'm sure his eating was off and so forth and so on. And he just continued. So family, what do you do to decompress? What do you do? What is your ulterior motive, alternative motives that your go-to? I believe in a couple of videos back, I spoke of a coworker of mine that every few weeks she goes away, literally goes away. This country, that state, and even if it's someplace nearby that has some kind of resort type of with an indoor pool, she'll go. That's her way of decompressing. That's her way to decompress. So I'm just curious, family, what's your thing? What's your way? How do you maneuver? How do you push through? How do you get through? What's the thing that you do? Or are you like me, constantly working? It's hot in this car. Constantly working. So, anyway, that's all I have for you today. I know today was a bit long-winded. It was like the topic I touched on, but I feel as though I didn't go in like I normally do. So I hope that you got some kind of thought from this particular topic. It was a thought-provoking question to me. It made me think, and it still makes me think. Am I looking at it wrong? I mean, I did say my vocation is my vacation. There's a doctor, I know of him, I've seen him, who worked 40 plus years, 50 plus years, had his own practice with a partner, and he recently retired a couple months ago. And now he's got heart problems, and he had a pacemaker put in. I'm like, what the hell? I find that with some people, when they stop working, things start going down. Things start becoming a little hairy there for them. So, yeah. Just curious as to what it is that you guys do to decompress. If it's of the recreational moment, or is it vacation, or is it, on the weekend it's just going to be family and friends? Is it healthy vices, or sometimes unhealthy vices? It happens. What do you do to be able to bring it down a bit and be able to survive the daily grind? Anyway, family, that's all I have for you today. Please let us give thanks and praise that we are 6 feet above ground and not below, and that those in our inner circle are in the same vein. Family, whatever you do today, please be safe out there. And I want you guys to like, share, and subscribe. I can't say it enough. For those of you that are coming through my Instagram page, because my Instagram normally is the the preview before the actual story that I bring forth, content that I bring forth. Some of you may click on that, and what happens when you do something like that is that it doesn't register as though you are a user who has signed on to YouTube. You just clicked onto YouTube. But it would really help if, if you clicked on YouTube, you signed up. It's painless. A few seconds. Your name, your phone number, your email, I think, and that's it. There's nothing more to it than that. That's it in a nutshell. That's it. So, I will talk to you later, family. And please have a blessed day, and we'll talk a little later. And whatever you do, stay lovely, stay sexy, but most of all, family, stay safe. This is Bridging Fears. I am your gracious host, Mr. Bobby Shades. And I'll see you guys in the next clip.